So he begins a search. And he records that search for us in his book. It seems to have been a deliberate search on his part, maybe out of frustration of not having any significance in his life, no meaningful reason, waking up every morning without any real reason to even wake up. What will I do with this day? What kind of challenge is there? What kind of purpose? And in that frustrated state of mind, in his spiritual life extremely low, he begins a search. I am going to find out what is meaningful, what is significant. I've got to have a purpose for my life. In the opening of chapter 2, he indicates where he begins his search. And it is a tragedy of many of us who go in search of significance, who go in search of a purpose for our life, who go in search of hope. He started with his own heart. You'll notice in the first part of chapter 2, I thought in my heart, come now, and I will test you. Here is a man who should know better, a wise man, wiser than any man who had ever lived, a wisdom that had been given to him by God, but choosing to seek to look for significance within his own self, within his own heart. There must be some significance. My heart should be able to tell me what's important, what is significant. My heart should be able to tell me my purpose. Later on, there was a prophet who appeared on the scene, and here's what he says, and this is Jeremiah saying something that we've all heard him say in Jeremiah 17:9. He says, the heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? The heart is deceitful. And here Solomon, here this wise man is going to his own deceptive heart to try to find some meaningful reason for his existence, some significance. And he's going to that part of his own makeup that will deceive him. Jeremiah warns us, be careful with your heart. Your heart will deceive you. It is deceitful above all things. But that's where he starts. I'll look into my heart. I'll let my heart speak to me. Deceitful as it is. Jeremiah came much later than Solomon, and he didn't hear this from Jeremiah. But it would have been good if he had. I have a fondness for Jeremiah. Some of these Old Testament prophets, they're difficult to read. Diba? You try reading the Old Testament prophets, you got the major prophets and the minor prophets, and you go there and you read, and what in the world did I just read? What did he say? Well, I can tell you after years and years of being a student of the Bible, I go there and I still find myself asking the same question. Jeremiah, what did you say? But there are those nuggets of understanding in these prophets that you can take hold of. And Jeremiah was one of those men. And Jeremiah, of course, is called the weeping prophet because throughout his writings, and he has a very long book, but throughout his writings you find him weeping for his own people, weeping for himself, weeping before God. But he had an insight into his own being, into his own heart. And he says, I realize that my heart is deceitful. I cannot trust my heart. I can't trust my own feelings. Amen. Amen. You sure are quiet. Amen. Amen. Our heart is deceitful. Don't trust your heart. Don't trust your feelings. We Pentecostals, we charismatics, we go a lot on feelings. We like to feel good. And there's nothing wrong with feelings. I like to feel good too. But you see, our faith is not based on our feelings. If our faith in God is based on our feelings, we'll be in trouble, because our feelings are erratic. They're up and they're down and they're here and they're there, and we enjoy them when they're around, and sometimes they just leave us, and they leave us crumble to the floor. You can't trust your heart, but that's where Solomon went, and as he went to his heart in this chapter 2, he lists for us 7 areas of searching. Coming from his own heart, he decided in listening to his heart, this is where I will find meaning. And he would try one and throw it aside and go to another. And in this chapter 2, there are 7 areas of his life that he tried to find meaning. I want us to look at those. Number 1, speaking to his heart, he says, come now, I will test you with pleasure to find out what is good. Can you imagine going to pleasure to find a meaningful reason for your life? Pleasure. Pleasure comes and goes. Pleasure, there's nothing in pleasure that you can take hold of. What is a pleasure today, we hate tomorrow. And it comes and goes. But Solomon felt if I can just throw myself into various kinds of things and activities that bring me pleasure, that will be my reason for living. I will live for pleasure. And I'm afraid that in our world today, that's exactly how so many people live their lives. They live for pleasure. They seek for pleasure. They become unhappy if there's no pleasure taking place in their life. They look for it. And for Solomon, it brought no contentment. It brought no meaningfulness to his life. He exhausted pleasure after pleasure and came up empty. Number 2, he says, I will try wine, strong drink, drugs to intoxicate me. Intoxicate, that is a strong word. To be intoxicated means that you are taken out of yourself into some kind of elusive world, and you feel so good because you're intoxicated. Wine and strong drinks. And our plague of today, of course, is drugs. You know, it says of the United States and the prisons within the United States that we have some of the most populated prisons in the world. And 1/2 of the people who are in the prisons of the United States are there for drug reasons. Drug use, drug dealings, sellings. Drug plagues us. And quite frankly, the law enforcement agencies and all have come to a place they don't know what to do, being overwhelmed with those who insist on being involved in drugs. So what has recently happened, just within the last 2 or 3 months, the state of Colorado has passed a law to legalize the use, the recreational use, as they would call it, of marijuana.